I've spent most of my life believing I knew what success looked like. Clean lines, sharp suits, a certain kind of body, a certain kind of respect. I thought I'd built something solid, a career in finance, a wife who cared about appearances as much as I did, a flat in the northern quarter with exposed brick and those floor-to-ceiling windows everyone posts on Instagram. From the outside, I looked like I had it sorted. But here's the thing about building your life on other people's opinions. Eventually, the foundation cracks. My name is Daniel, and I'm 32 years old. I worked, for a mid-sized investment firm in Manchester city centre, the kind of place where your shoes matter almost as much as your portfolio performance. I'd clawed my way up from an entry-level analyst position to junior partner in 7 years. I was proud of that. My wife Emma was proud of that. We had the life we'd always planned. And then my mom started seeing Kenneth. It sounds ridiculous now, saying it out loud. My mom started seeing someone, as if that's a crisis, as if that's something worth losing sleep over. But at the time, it felt like the end of something. My dad had died 4 years earlier, heart attack at 59, sudden and cruel, and Mom had been alone ever since. I'd encouraged her to get out more, to join a book club or take up bowls or whatever it is people do when they're trying to rebuild their lives after loss. I just didn't expect her to fall in love. Kenneth wasn't what I'd pictured. He was overweight, not just a bit heavy, but genuinely large, the kind of size that makes people stare in Tesco. He wore old jumpers with pulls in the fabric and drove a battered Volvo that looked like it had survived the Thatcher years. When Mum first introduced us at a Sunday roast in Didsbury, I smiled and shook his hand and made all the right noises, but inside, something cold settled in my chest. Emma saw it too. On the drive home, she said what I'd been thinking but hadn't wanted to admit. Your mum can do better than that, can't she? I didn't answer, but I didn't disagree either. That was the moment everything started to unravel. Not loudly, not all at once. Just a slow, quiet erosion of something I didn't realize I valued until it was gone. Looking back now, I can pinpoint the exact second my life changed. It wasn't when I stopped returning Mum's calls. It wasn't when I made excuses to avoid family dinners. It wasn't even when I told her, voice tight with shame, that Emma and I were too busy to meet Kenneth again. It was 3 months later, in a glass-walled conference room on the 8th floor of our office building, when the door opened and Kenneth walked in. Not as a guest, as our new boss. It started small, the distance between my mom and me. Just a missed call here, a rescheduled dinner there. Nothing dramatic, nothing I couldn't justify. Mom had always been the center of our little family. After Dad died, it was just the two of us for a while. Well, me and Emma, but Mom was always close. Sunday roasts at her house in Chorlton, walks around Fletcher Moss. She'd come into town and we'd get lunch at Turtle Bay or grab a coffee at Grindsmith. She never complained, never asked for much, just wanted to see me, to know I was all right. When she told me about Kenneth, her voice had this lightness I hadn't heard in years. "I've met someone," she said over the phone one Tuesday evening. I was walking home from the tram stop, collar up against the October drizzle. "His name's Kenneth. He's kind, Danny, really kind." I should have been happy for her. I should have said, "That's brilliant, Mum. I can't wait to meet him." But instead, I felt this weird tightness in my throat, like I'd swallowed something sharp. "That's great," I said, the words flat. "Yeah, that's really great." She invited us over the following Sunday. Emma wasn't thrilled. She had brunch plans with her sister. But I convinced her. "Just an hour," I said. "We'll eat, say hello, leave." Kenneth was already there when we arrived, sitting in Dad's old chair in the living room. That bothered me more than I wanted to admit. He stood up when we walked in, extending a hand. He was tall, maybe 6'2", but his size made him seem shorter, rounder. His shirt was tucked in unevenly, and there was a small stain near the pocket. He smiled, warm and genuine. "Daniel," he said, "your mum's told me so much about you. It's lovely to finally meet you." His accent was Mancunian, but softer than mine, educated. There was something in his voice that didn't match the rest of him, a quiet confidence maybe, or just ease. I shook his hand. It was firm, warm. "Likewise," I said. Emma stood beside me, her smile polite, but cold. She was wearing heels and a blazer, overdressed for a casual Sunday lunch. She always did that, used clothes as armor. Lunch was roast chicken, carrots, Yorkshire puddings. Mum had gone all out. Kenneth helped her bring the dishes to the table, laughing at something she said in the kitchen. I watched them through the doorway. He touched her shoulder lightly as he passed. She smiled. It should have been sweet. Instead, I felt embarrassed. Emma leaned over during the meal and whispered, "Is he always this loud?" Kenneth wasn't loud. He was just present. He told stories about his work, something vague in logistics, I think, and asked me about the firm. He seemed genuinely interested, but all I could see was the way his stomach pressed against the table, the way his laugh was too big for the room. Afterwards, in the car, Emma didn't wait. "I'm sorry, but I don't get it." "Get what?" "Your mum and him." She said the word like it tasted bad. "I mean, she's still attractive. She could find someone who takes care of themselves." I stared out the windscreen. Rain was starting again, blurring the streetlights. "I think she's just lonely," I said. "Maybe she's settling." I didn't argue. Part of me agreed. Over the next few weeks, Mum kept inviting us over. I kept finding reasons to say no. Work was busy, Emma wasn't feeling well, we had plans. Eventually, Mum stopped asking. She'd send texts instead, photos of her and Kenneth at the Christmas markets, at a pub quiz in Withington, at the Peak District on a Sunday walk. In every picture, she looked happy. Genuinely, warmly happy. And I hated it. Emma made comments every time. "She's parading him around like he's some prize," or "Doesn't she care what people think?" I started to wonder the same thing. One night in late November, Mum called. I almost didn't pick up, but I did. "Danny, love, I just wanted to hear your voice." There was something fragile in her tone. I felt a flicker of guilt. "I'm here, Mum. Just tired. Long week." "I know. I miss you." Silence. "Kenneth and I are thinking of going to the Lake District next month," she continued. "Just a little weekend away. I thought maybe you and Emma might fancy joining us. We could get a cottage, make a proper trip of it." I closed my eyes. "I don't think we can, Mum. Emma's got work stuff, and I've got a big presentation coming up." "Right. Of course." Another silence. Longer this time. "Danny, is everything all right? With us, I mean." "Everything's fine, Mum. Because if it's about Kenneth, it's not." But it was, and she knew it. "All right then," she said quietly. "Well, you know where I am." After we hung up, Emma looked at me from the sofa. "You're not seriously considering that trip, are you?" "No." "Good, because I'm not spending a weekend watching your mum fawn over that man." I nodded.
But somewhere, deep down, in a place I didn't want to look, I felt ashamed. Not of Kenneth, of myself.
By January, I'd stopped responding to most of Mum's messages. It wasn't a conscious decision, or at least, that's what I told myself. I was busy. The firm was restructuring. There were rumors of a buyout, whispers in the break room about new leadership. Everyone was on edge, trying to prove their value. Emma and I had started talking about buying a house, something in Didsbury or Charlton, close to the good schools, even though we didn't have kids yet. She spent weekends scrolling through Rightmove, showing me listings I could barely afford. The pressure was building. I needed to secure my position. I needed to impress the right people. I didn't have time for family drama. That's what I told myself, anyway. Mum's texts became less frequent, just the occasional "thinking of you" or "hope you're well." I'd reply with a thumbs-up emoji or a quick "you too." Nothing that required effort. Nothing that required me to actually engage. Then, in early February, she sent a longer message. "Danny, I know you're busy, and I don't want to be a bother, but I'd really love to see you. It's been months. Kenneth and I are having a little dinner party on Saturday. Nothing fancy, just a few friends. It would mean the world to me if you came. Please, X." I stared at the message for a long time. Emma was beside me, scrolling through Instagram. I showed her the screen. She didn't even look up. "Tell her we can't. She's my mom. And she's making you uncomfortable. You don't owe her anything just because she's lonely." "It's not about that. Isn't it?" I put the phone down. I didn't reply. Saturday came and went. I didn't go. I didn't even send an excuse. On Sunday morning, Mum called. I let it ring out. She called again an hour later. I declined it. Then a text. "I understand if you're angry with me. I just wish I knew why." I felt something crack inside my chest, but I still didn't reply. Emma noticed. "You're doing the right thing," she said, her voice firm. "She needs to understand that actions have consequences." "What actions?" "Choosing him over her dignity." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say that wasn't fair, but I didn't, because part of me believed it.
Work became my escape. I threw myself into the restructuring, attending every meeting, volunteering for every project. I stayed late, came in early. I became the person they couldn't afford to lose. And it worked. In mid-February, our managing director called an all-staff meeting. The buyout was confirmed. A new company, some private equity group I'd never heard of, had acquired us. There would be changes, he said. New leadership, new expectations, but also new opportunities. "The new owner will be visiting next week," he announced. "He'll be meeting with each department individually. I expect everyone to be professional, prepared, and impressive." A murmur went through the room. The new owner. Not some faceless board, but an actual person. Someone who'd be evaluating us, deciding our futures. I felt a jolt of adrenaline. This was my chance. Emma was thrilled when I told her, "This is it, Danny. This is what we've been working for. Impress him and you're set. Partner track, maybe even senior management." I nodded. But that night, lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Mum, about her text, about the silence between us. I opened my phone and scrolled back through our messages. Months of one-sided conversation, her reaching out, me pulling away. I typed a reply. "I'm sorry, Mum. I've just been overwhelmed. Let's catch up soon." I stared at it. Then I deleted it. The following Monday, the new owner arrived. Security was tighter than usual. There were people in expensive suits moving through the building, clipboards in hand, expressions unreadable. The energy was tense, anxious. Our department meeting was scheduled for 2 o'clock. I wore my best suit, navy Tom Ford, the one I'd bought on sale but told people was full price. I'd rehearsed what I'd say if I got the chance. Confident but humble, eager but professional. We gathered in the 8th floor conference room, the one with glass walls overlooking the city. Deansgate stretched out below, the tram lines glinting in weak February sun. I sat near the middle of the table, trying to look calm. At 2:15, the door opened. Our managing director walked in first, smiling too wide, then a woman with a tablet. Then, Kenneth. I stopped breathing. He stood in the doorway, wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, a crisp white shirt, a burgundy tie. He looked different, confident, powerful, but it was him, unmistakably him. Our managing director gestured for him to sit at the head of the table. "Everyone, I'd like to introduce Kenneth O'Carfer. He's the founder and CEO of O'Carfer Holdings, our new parent company. Kenneth, this is our investment team." Kenneth smiled, warm and calm, and sat down. His eyes scanned the room, and then they landed on me. For a moment, neither of us moved. His expression didn't change, but I saw the flicker of recognition, the briefest pause. Then he looked away, and I realized with cold, crushing clarity exactly how badly I'd miscalculated everything.
If this story is touching you in any way, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep sharing stories like this. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, visit ko-fi.com/bonds-of-fate.
The meeting lasted an hour. Kenneth spoke about his vision for the company, his expectations, his plans for growth. His voice was calm, articulate, commanding. This wasn't the man I'd dismissed in my mother's living room. This was someone who'd built an empire. He mentioned his background briefly, started in logistics, scaled a distribution company, sold it for an undisclosed sum, then moved into private equity. He didn't brag. He didn't need to. The room hung on every word. I sat frozen, my mind racing. How had I not known? How had Mum never mentioned this? Or had she, and I just hadn't been listening? When Kenneth opened the floor for questions, I couldn't bring myself to speak. My colleagues asked about strategy, timelines, restructuring. He answered each one with patience and precision. He never looked at me again. When the meeting ended, people stood, shaking his hand, introducing themselves. I stayed in my seat, paralyzed. Our managing director clapped Kenneth on the shoulder, laughing at something he'd said. They walked toward the door together. And then Kenneth paused. He turned back, his gaze sweeping the room one last time. "Daniel," he said quietly, "a word, please." The room went silent. Everyone looked at me. I stood, legs unsteady, and followed him out into the corridor. He walked a few steps away from the door, then stopped. When he turned to face me, his expression was unreadable. "I won't do this here, but your mother misses you." I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. My voice cracked. Didn't know. Didn't know what? That I had money? He shook his head. Would it have mattered? I couldn't answer. Because yes, it would have. And that made it so much worse. Kenneth sighed. "I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to do my job. But you should call your mother. Not because of who I am, because of who she is." He turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing down the polished corridor. I stood there, alone, staring at nothing. That evening I told Emma everything. She sat on the sofa, arms crossed, face tight. "So he's rich. So what?" she said finally. "So, I've been an idiot. You were to know. I should have known. I should have asked. I should have given him a chance." Emma's expression hardened. "You're overreacting. He's still the same person. Just because he has money doesn't change anything." But it did, and she knew it. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't wanted to see before. The way she judged people, the way she measured worth by appearance, by status, by things that didn't actually matter. The way I'd been doing the same thing. "I need to fix this," I said. "Fix what?" "Everything. She laughed, but there was no warmth in it. You're going to apologize to him, grovel to your new boss because you feel guilty? I'm going to apologize to my mom. That night, I drove to Chorlton. It was late, nearly 10, but her lights were on. I sat in the car for 10 minutes trying to find the words. Finally, I knocked. Mom answered the door in her dressing gown, hair tied back, eyes red. She'd been crying. "Danny," she whispered. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm so sorry." She pulled me inside and I started talking. I told her everything, the shame, the embarrassment, the distance. I told her I'd been wrong, that I'd let Emma's voice become my own, that I'd judged Kenneth without knowing him. Mom listened, tears streaming down her face. "He's a good man, Danny," she said when I finally stopped. "One of the best I've ever known. And I don't care what he looks like or what anyone thinks. He makes me happy." "I know," I said. "I see that now." "Do you?" she asked. I nodded. "I just want my son back," she said, voice breaking. "You have me," I whispered. "I promise." We sat together in the kitchen until past midnight, drinking tea, talking about everything I'd missed. She told me about Kenneth's work, his kindness, the way he treated her. She told me how much it had hurt to lose me, and I told her I'd never let it happen again. When she left, she hugged me at the door. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I should have come months ago." The next morning, I resigned from the firm. Emma was furious, but I didn't care. I couldn't stay there, not after everything. Kenneth and I never became close. We were polite, cordial, but I'd lost the chance to know him as family, and that was a consequence I'd have to live with.
It's been 2 years since that day in the conference room. I'm working for a smaller firm now, one where the culture is kinder, where success isn't measured only by appearances. Emma and I divorced 6 months after I resigned. It wasn't bitter. It was just necessary. We'd built our lives on the wrong foundations. Mum and Kenneth got married last spring. It was a small ceremony in the Peak District, just family and close friends. I walked her down the aisle. Kenneth cried when he saw her. So did I. I've learned something important since then, something I wish I'd understood sooner. The people we judge most harshly are often the ones who have the most to teach us. Kenneth never needed to prove himself to me. He was always exactly who he was, successful, kind, and secure in himself. I was the one who needed to change. I think about that conference room often, the moment the door opened, the moment I realized how blind I'd been. It's a memory that still stings, but it's also one I'm grateful for, because it woke me up. I visit Mum every Sunday now. Sometimes Kenneth joins us for lunch. We talk about work, about life, about nothing in particular. He's never mentioned that day. He doesn't need to. We both know what happened. And slowly, carefully, I'm rebuilding what I almost destroyed. If there's anything I've learned from all of this, it's that real worth has nothing to do with appearance, status, or other people's opinions. It's measured in kindness, in integrity, in how you treat the people who love you. My dad used to say, "Character is who you are when no one's watching." I used to think I understood that, but I didn't, not really. Because when no one was watching, I was someone I'm ashamed of, someone who valued pride over love, appearance over substance. I'm trying to be better now. Not for Kenneth, not even for Mum, for myself. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with the person you see in the mirror, and I want to be able to look that person in the eye. Mum's happy. That's what matters. She's with someone who sees her, values her, loves her completely. Kenneth isn't perfect. No one is. But he's perfect for her. And I'm learning to be happy for them, truly happy. It's a quieter kind of success than I used to chase, but it's the kind that lasts. Life has a way of humbling you when you need it most,
of putting the right people in your path at exactly the right moment. I could have kept walking away. I could have stayed angry, stubborn, proud. But I didn't. And that decision, that simple choice to knock on my mother's door and say, "I'm sorry," changed everything. I still think about that conference room sometimes, the shock, the shame, the realization. But mostly, I think about what came after, the forgiveness, the rebuilding, the second chance. Because in the end, that's what matters most. Not the mistakes we make, but whether we find the courage to make them right.
If this story spoke to you, if you saw a part of yourself in it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next stories, each one made with heart and honesty. Share this video with someone who might need it today. And if you'd like to support this project, you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/bonds of fate. It's a small gesture that helps us keep creating stories filled with soul and truth.